Alpha and Omega are the first and the last letters from the classical Greek alphabet. They're often used to symbolize that something is both the beginning and the end. And in fencing, everything starts and ends with footwork. My name is Fabian, and let me show you how to practice footwork in Rapier. Firm-footed attack. A firm-footed attack is a term our ancestors used for two kinds of actions. A standard lunge, or, as the name suggests, for attacking just by bending the body forward without any movement of the feet. I chose the first exercise in this video to be of the static lunge. When you realize that you're in such a distance that you could hit your opponent without passing, don't hesitate. Extend your arm and bend your body fully forward to acquire reach. This also works as punishment for those fencers who step into close distance without threatening you. If there was a myth about historical fencing that we should debunk and get rid of in the first place, it certainly would be the concept of HEMA being slow, clumsy and laborious. And that is not true. Often it serves as but an excuse to people who are lazy to do some proper practice. The lunge. Our ancestors were exquisitely athletic. We have so much pictorial and textual evidence since as far we can remember and dug. Fabris says that the firm-footed attack was in its both appearances the most common attack in duels. Seeing as the lunge became prominent from his time on, there is no doubt his statement is right. Firm-footed attacks require a lot of practice to master. It's not easy. If you'll do it correctly, your muscles will burn, but once you master it, you'll realize how much advantage they can give you in a fight. If you want to be successful in fencing, not just by mere coincidence, do not forget the following. When attacking with a simple, direct attack, always extend your arm with your weapon first. The thing is, the movement of your hand and arm is so small that it's much harder for your opponent to react to it. The stimulus for their eyes is very small. The more you limit your movement, the more you utilize just a simple direct extension towards your target, the bigger the probability that you'll hit or that you'll make your opponent parry instead of counter-attacking. When your whole body moves, it gives your opponent a signal that something's going on. Of course, there are certain occasions when you move with body first, when you make use of psychology, feinting and fear, but that is a topic for a different occasion. But remember, your primary practice of the lunge should be about extending arm first, about precision, pragmatic movement, covering huge distance and working with various dynamics of movement. Advance and retreat. A lunge will certainly help you to reach your opponent. But as Lichtenauer says, "He who moves is alive, he who does not move is dead." A simple, witty statement means that we should move and be in motion against our opponent. Unless we possess a great mastery, it's always a risk just to stay and wait for our opponent's move. Thus, we should be well practiced in advancing and retreating, and in launching dynamic lunges from such movement. Usually an advance should be done with the front foot leading and the rear one stepping behind. In some situations, namely when we'd like to fake our actual reach, we can just get our rear foot just behind our front, and from there we can attack further than we could just by a standard lunge. Generally, in Rapier, we should prefer rather narrow stances than the deep ones, at least when we speak about initial guards and before commencing our attacks. From a narrow stance, we can always launch a deeper attack as we could from a deep one. However, if you're well practiced and used in wider stances, you should have no issues to utilize them as well. Just be wary of the attacks to the legs. Pass with the left foot. In Rapier, the pass with the left foot should be done just by pushing the steel-turned left leg a bit forward in front of the right one. Furthermore, during such a movement, we should not turn our left side towards the opponent, but we should still keep our right forward. If you learn how to pass with the left foot in this manner, you will see that it's even much easier to do the following step with the right foot. In such way, you can then run towards your opponent if necessary. This is very useful when performing passes underneath their blade, or when you'd like to approach them very safely but still having a huge reach in your attack. Since Fabris teaches the body to be well bent forward, a pass with the left foot becomes much more natural because the weight of the body is still situated on the front foot. What makes Fabris' school different and also revolutionary compared to other contemporary authors is not only the complexity and finesse of his work, but also his specific movement. As you might have noticed, Fabris says that the best way how to approach people with rapier is by having your body completely bent. On the first look it looks weird, but when you get into it you'll realize how ingenious it is. What it actually does is it limits the target you offer to your opponent just to a very small portion of your whole body. Also, it prolongs your reach and strengthens your attacks. And last but not least, it looks nice, doesn't it? A girata means in Italian a turn or turning. In certain actions, all we need to do to avoid the opponent's attack is just to get our body out of the way by turning it away from the attack. Such actions can be done just by stepping out of the line by either feet to both sides, depending on the attack and tempo. These giratas can be also used offensively, as we will see in some assaults in another videos. Rapier and dagger. Rapier and dagger is a fantastic combination which has its unique rules. For instance, unlike in single rapier, we can make use of the left leg forward stance and also of some other peculiar stances and movement. Also, a much greater control of the positioning of the body is required. This time we need to coordinate two weapons. And if you'll know how to do it properly, you'll see that in the end considerably less energy is needed to successfully execute a defense or an attack. In the end, in rapier, everything is just about angles and proper positioning. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching my second video in the Learn Rapier series. I hope that it was at least a bit helpful to you. Don't forget not just to leave a comment, but mainly to practice. As someone wise said, it's practice which makes perfect.